I showed my entire English class my eggplant. And the way this happened was the most embarrassing thing. And honestly, I will say this much. My eggplant wasn't even massive at the time. By that, I mean, it wasn't, blood flow wasn't going to, you know what? That's embarrassing. Let's just jump straight into this embarrassing story. But actually, before I do real quick, please make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe. That's all I ask. Just hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. And on top of that, it would make my life a lot better. So please, I'm telling you guys something super embarrassing. So just click it. Just click the subscribe button. It's free, and honestly, if you do it, this might not happen to you. But other than that, let's just jump straight into this embarrassing story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to something super embarrassing. So I remember back when I was in high school, I took this English class. It was my grade 11 year, and I took grade 11 English. Now, as you guys may know, I'm actually really good at English, and I actually ended up acing that class, even though I've done a lot of things that were really questionable. But I think the most questionable thing I've ever done was this one thing specifically. In my English class, I remember we had to write an essay about basically slavery and how slaves ended up happening, and basically the origin story of how slavery really evolved over the years and how it ended. And me, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was the most depressing thing ever. Like, every time we would sit down in that class and learn about slavery, a lot of the people either ended up started crying, or, you know, a lot of people were just being really sad and depressed. And while me, I'm gonna be honest, it was just a really dark and gloomy day every time we went to English class. Now, one thing I will say is that slavery is no joke. It's the same as the Holocaust. It's the same as many other things that happened throughout history. It was just majorly depressing. But one thing I will say is that a lot of people, obviously, in that class don't sometimes take things seriously. Like, there's always that one kid in every class that never took things as serious as it should be. And I remember one time in that English class, there was one girl in there that I was actually kind of interested in. Now, the clown in my class that we're gonna call the class clown would always make fun of me for liking this girl, but never making a move on her. But obviously, if she's crying about slavery, there's no way I was gonna ever make a move on her when she's crying and thinking about her ancestors that were slaves. So instead, I remember one time I was walking down the school hallway and the class clown ended up walking up to me. He walked up to me saying, "I heard there's a project coming up for our English class. I think you should make a move on her and, like, you know, become her partner." "Why are you helping me?" "Oh, because, like, bro, like, I'm just looking out for you, man. You already know." And he ended up basically punching my shoulder as if we were buddies, even though I hated his guts. Now, you guys are probably wondering, what does this have to do with showing your eggplant onto the projector? And I will say this much, you guys will see why. Anyways, going on from there, I remember basically I ended up going to the class that day expecting to get a project, because I don't think that was a lie. At least I hope not. And when I sat in there, I remember I was sitting there and the teacher walked up to the front of the class saying, "Okay, class, so today what we're going to be doing is you guys are going to group up into two, and basically you guys are going to show a presentation on why slavery is not the right thing to do." Which honestly makes sense, because it wasn't the right thing to do. And I don't know how you're supposed to show that in a presentation. Like, what do you just slap on there? Hashtag no slavery? Like, it makes sense. Slavery was bad. I don't know how you're supposed to explain that in depth, but I guess the teacher wanted that to make sure we actually understood the class. So I remember me, when I was sitting there trying to find my partner, I ended up looking around the classroom, and that's when me and this girl ended up locking eyes. And I guess me and her, we ended up looking at each other, smiling, and she ended up standing up and walking over to my desk saying, "Hey, Bubba, do you want to be partners for the class?" Yeah, sure, I'm down," is what I told her. And then that's when me and her, we ended up sitting down together, and we ended up actually working on the project. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. When me and her were working on the project, we ended up actually being more flirty than actually working, which is really sad because we were talking about slavery. But I was, you know, shooting the moves on her, and she actually became somewhat interested in me. Anyways, going on though, I remember at some point throughout the project when we were working on it, I ended up asking for her number and basically her Snapchat, and she gave me both of them saying, "Yeah, just message me later." And she ended up standing up and going back to her desk towards the end of class. And me, I was really excited because obviously it was a way for me to talk to this really hot girl, but at the same time, I was kind of concerned. I didn't know if she liked me as like a work partner, but at the same time, she was being flirty with me as well, saying I had a really cute nose. Like, I don't really know like where we really stood in the terms of actually communicating with each other. Anyways, I remember the next couple of days, we ended up working on the project together, and, you know, we would mostly work over online. She never came over or anything, but we'd always just work. And I ended up actually telling her one time, "Hey, like, why don't you come over and work on the project with me?" And she ended up telling me that she had really strict parents, which, I mean, sucked, but I mean, makes sense. A lot of parents are strict. So from there, I ended up basically, you know, talking to her. We would work on the project, and obviously I would flirt with her over the phone. But then it became this one moment where I remember really late at night on the day before the presentation, she ended up sending me a photo of her cherries. Now, this was super unexpected, but at the same time, boy, was I excited. And I remember from there, I ended up basically taking a photo of my eggplant, and I didn't send it. I took a ton of photos of my eggplant, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't get bricked up. So obviously me taking a photo of my eggplant wouldn't look good, because who would send a photo of an unbricked eggplant, if that makes any sense? So me having a bunch of photos of my eggplant eggplant on my phone and not actually, you know, sending it to her, I ended up getting nervous and saying, damn, those are some nice cherries, which is super awkward. I don't know why I did that. To this day, I still question, why did I say that? You know what? Never mind. Going on though. I remember the next day, I was basically super embarrassed to go see her, but obviously we had the same class together and we had to work on the same project together. And basically me and her, we ended up going into the classroom together and we ended up sitting down getting her presentation ready. But one thing I realized was that this girl was really distant from me compared to before when we would talk over the phone and when we would work on the project together at school. I ended up looking at her asking, saying, hey, like, are we good? Yeah, I guess. And she looks away and basically starts, you know, focusing on the project at hand. Then I remember at some point presentations were going on and basically things got really depressing in the classroom because we were talking about slavery. And obviously, you know, people started crying in the class because, you know, to some people it was a really touchy subject. And then I remember it became my turn and this girl's that I was working the project with, and one thing led to another. She ended up putting up her hand because she started crying really badly, and she ended up telling me that she had to go to use the bathroom, when in reality she just had to wipe her eyes and, you know, make herself look good again. So me knowing that it was our turn, I ended up standing up to the teacher saying, my partner just left to quickly go to the bathroom. Is it cool if we like just wait it out? She ended up looking at me saying, we're on a short time schedule. Is it possible you could just do it yourself and then she can just come in when she's ready? Yeah, sure. So I remember from there, I ended up basically going up to the front of this class and I ended up plugging my phone into the projector. And as I was giving my speech, I remember I ended up getting a text message over my phone that was from the girl that ended up basically telling me, hey, like, I'll be back soon. And when I got a notification of her texting me, I'm not joking when I say this, the whole class saw it because obviously it comes up as like a text bubble, like right above. And obviously I was super embarrassed. But at the same time, I don't know why my dumb instinct decided to grab my phone and click on the text message, and it ended up going towards my photos for some reason. And let's just say my whole entire camera roll was my eggplant, my flaccid, massive eggplant at the time. I remember I was super embarrassed and I didn't know how to turn off the projector. So I ended up basically like trying to cover the screen with my jacket. And I'm like, oh no, this is not slavery. Like this is not a part of the slavery like project. And at that point, everyone started taking out their phones and taking photos of my eggplant that were on the projector. I'm not joking. At this point, I thought my life was over. I thought the world was ending right in front of my eyes. And then that's when my crush ended up walking in, seeing my eggplant on the projector, trying to figure out what in the world is going on, which I don't blame her because, well, I mean, it's really weird what just happened. But going on, I remember I started panicking and freaking out. And I ended up basically almost bawling my eyes out, knowing that I was super embarrassed. So what I ended up doing was basically fully shutting off my phone, which ended up turning off the thing on the projector. And I ended up running to the bathroom myself and basically started yelling at my own eggplant saying, why can't you be beautiful? Yeah, I yelled at my eggplant, why can't you be beautiful? I don't know why. I was having a hard moment, okay? But anyways, that was basically the day of how I showed my entire eggplant to my entire class, which is really entirely sad. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.